Oh, that was loud even for me. Ow. Welcome back again to another week of this week's podcast, which this week is going to be brought to you by the lack of justice in our criminal justice system. Who knew? And a very sad slide whistle for that one. It's time to go back to therapy.
Yay! This week is also brought to you by Tentacles and Fine Literature.
I'm your host, Madison.
And I'm your other host, Jesse James.
I think we get better at this every single week.
I mean, practice clearly pays off.
We've only done it, what, like 45 something, 50 times?
This is number 46.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah, a few.
Couple times.
Things in this episode, just so you know, might get a little bit spooky.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to that happening.
Good.
It's been a spooky week.
There's also a good chance that things might get a little bit spooky.
Oh. I would be partaking in also making this spooky, but I'm trying to hold on right now to consciousness. So
that seems worthwhile. I'm trying to hold on to surviving this raspberry Coke that I ended up with.
Ooh, interesting. How did that happen to you?
It was the interesting flavor. It was the thing I ended up with from a post-work laziness taco time situation. So now I have this.
I had a, not post-work, I suppose mid-work, Taco Bell laziness situation not too long ago. Today.
Yeah. So. Those are mistakes that can happen, mistakes that we both made simultaneously, in fact. So I understand how that works. Yeah. I'm also having some watered down coffee that is left over from earlier.
That is my snack and drink for today. It's my weird flavored coffee. I can't decide if I like it or not.
What's the flavor?
I think it's, if I remember correctly, like macadamia or something like that. I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know. It needs cream.
It needs to be creamier, at least.
Yes.
Flavors often don't go well with black coffee or close to black coffee.
Yeah. I don't feel like I need it to be sweetened. I just need some like body to it. Some creaminess.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Mm. I'm all about that creamy body. Spooky.
Spooky Halloween.
I've decided that Halloween is starting now, just because I don't know. I've seen like old women with trash bags outside and stuff. That seems like the spooky atmosphere starting. Also, there has to be something, because right now it's just dry and kind of shitty outside. There's not really anything exciting about the moment.
Yeah, I could use some spookiness to look forward to each day.
Yeah. Well, there will be some spookiness coming a little bit.
I mean, the current news is doing a good job of uh, keeping spookiness a factor in
I
all of
don't
our lives.
I don't know if that's spooky exactly.
Just
It's
downright terrifying.
yeah, it's angering, I would say, more than anything. Uh, so
Yeah.
uh, so you just have a coffee for your snack.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to help your energy situation as much as jamming a fistful of rice cakes or something.
Oh, that's true. I do wish I had some rice cakes. Hmm. I should try making rice cakes.
You should.
Yeah, do that. Never tried that.
I
Or
bet it's
like
not too
rice
hard.
crackers, maybe. Yeah.
Making granola bars is easy enough. I feel like making other reconstituted crunchy things wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, I think that would be doable.
Yeah.
I love rice crackers. They have a really delightful like snap to them. I like the texture.
I'm a big fan of those. Uh, well, I like the rice glazed, like the sort of almost sour rice crackers that have like the glaze on the outside that are
Mm.
often in mixes. But I also like the mixes that have the combination of what feels like powderless Cheetos, uh, fake nuts, all the winners from the like Asian snack categories.
Yeah, and the wasabi peas.
Yeah.
Those are top tier in my book.
Yeah, an excuse to eat wasabi and it's a pea, so it tastes pretty good is always a plus for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, One thing that I will say is closer to spooky than angering sometimes is seeing the like elderly people in this housing complex, or I guess apartment complex, sitting outside to get air now that it's not too hot in a small space without a mask, far away from people. But when everybody else likes to not follow the rules, I get spooked for them. So I do find that pretty
That's
spooky.
that is pretty spooky. Um, yeah, we've had some pretty spooky events here lately. I it we've actually made Tucker Carlson in the last few days. Moscow has. Um, we have had so we have a big culty church here called Christ Church.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that one's fairly well known too.
yeah, I think so. The pastor's written a lot of really wild books that are what I have not personally read, but have like very pro-slavery, anti women's rights kind
Yeah,
of stuff. So his church has been hosting some like protests at City Hall where they come and they sing psalms or sing songs, um, and specifically do not social distance or wear masks at all, of course.
uh-huh.
So just a lot of like breathing out your mouth hole in the vicinity of other people a lot, which really good to do that during a pandemic. And then uh, this last Friday, I want to say, um, the police actually ended up arresting someone at the protest. Um, and it wasn't even because of the protest or like them not wearing a mask or anything related to that. It was He got arrested because he would not produce his ID for like to receive the citation,
Uh-huh.
and that's when they arrested him. So, but of course, what made the news and like Fox News, Tucker Carlson, is that people are getting arrested for not wearing masks now.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Uh,
whew.
I find that especially disgusting after having people pulled into vans. Like the double standard is alive in everything when it
Yeah.
comes to like right-wing politics, and abducting people off the street, uh, oftentimes stripping their ID away from them and leaving them in a situation where afterwards they can't even vote. I would say that's a much bigger deal than what amounts to, unfortunately, what amounts to resisting arrest or resisting cooperation, which I don't think
Hmm.
should be illegal in the way that it is currently, but it is against the law. So, like, technically, that one I understand, even if I disagree with it. I understand less the police tackling and arresting somebody who was delivering Uber Eats in Seattle. That doesn't really interest me in terms of like police doing the right thing. They just saw a guy on a bicycle that they didn't like and they beat him up. So
Yeah.
that also happened this week, and that didn't make the news. So that seems fine.
Yeah. I would pay. I would have paid money to be there and to see all of these people's reactions to getting arrested, because these are also the people that are like very pro police,
Yeah.
and so I would just love to have seen that interaction. Also, I I don't know, with like right wing people, they're all um, pro police, but when you watch people like Caitlin Bennett in a lot of her uh, not interviews, publicity stunts where she goes to colleges, she'll like get in trouble with the police and then argue with them for half an hour, and is basically like, why are you not on my side the
Yep.
whole time? And I wonder if a similar interaction took place at this protest. I
I
wouldn't
have
be
to
surprised.
I have to imagine it did. I mean, I don't know why else somebody would decide they didn't need to show their ID. That seems
Yeah.
like a, well, the police aren't going to do anything to me kind of response. But also
Yeah.
it, I know it's not going to sink in, but that's the whole thing with having authoritarianism. It's just sort of bleeding into like the way our police work from our executive branch, is that that's exactly what's going to happen, is all the people who are pro-Republican are also going to get fucked with. It's just going to take longer, and it's going to be in all the
Mm.
ways that they don't want to have police fuck with them, but they don't care because right now they're owning the libs or whatever, which I guess is just seen through having a bunch of like incredibly unfair policy towards anybody who's not white Christian and on their side. But I don't think owning the libs is going to be worth the potential of getting Trump into office again and placing more and more judges and all that shit. Because all
Hmm.
you're going to end up with is a bunch of people who decide more and more restrictive things. Uh, it just seems crazy. Like, I don't, there's always been people like that everywhere. It's just minus the way our internet works, it didn't work like this for them. And now that everybody can kind of like decide that even though they're a weird vocal minority, they're welcome to like imagine that the whole country's on their side and there's a little sliver of us who are trying to like start shit, which is the
Yeah.
opposite of how it is actually set up demographically. Which I forgot to write this in my notes, but here's my first reminder to fill out the census. Uh,
Mm.
it's what? It's 2020 census.gov, I believe. And uh, I filled it out with my roommate over the phone from work in about 2 minutes. Like it isn't anything. Just do it.
Yeah.
The census determines how all demographics are looked at in this country, how all areas get funded, and everything else. Like if your small town that loves Trump doesn't fill out the census, you're also not going to get help. So like, just fill it out. Don't be a fucking dipshit.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think they ended up being able to put those questions on there that they wanted to, or that the Trump administration wanted to about.
Yeah.
Was it ethnicity or was it just immigration status or something like that?
I think it was immigration status. Yeah, I don't think any of that stuff made it on there, but I don't know what their trees are. If you're worried about it in terms of like doing something online, there's also a phone number. I don't have that, but I believe that phone number is readily available. So just you can put in census 2020 phone number and it will come up.
It will appear. That is the magic of the internet.
Yeah. So let's see. I have some stuff. I guess I would like to do a shout out while I'm thinking about it. There are two games that came out, video games that I think are worth people's time and seem like nobody knows they exist except for weirdos that spend some of their free time searching through like cheap games that aren't made by large companies. Um, I think one of them might be involved with like Team 17, who does a lot of stuff that's like smaller anyway. But the first one I want to mention is Gorst. It's G O with an umlaut RSD, and it's from a Singaporean developer that just got released on I think most platforms. Gorst is a like sci-fi horror competitive sports indie title, I guess.
That sounds interesting.
It has like heavy bass beat, like sort of, I don't know. I might put it in the psycho wave category, but it's definitely like it's playing off of some of the same stuff that something like oh, what's it called now that I have to think of it? Nidhogg and Nidhogg 2 kind of has like they're closer to like bassy EDM music. This one is a little more sound music than that, but it has a similar effect. And I think if you like Nidhogg, that's a great start. If you like weird shit, that's also a great start. I think the art in that first off, I think that game itself is one of the ones that I would say is art in general. But I also think that if you like art just at all, this is definitely a place to go to get some of that stuff. I'm sending you a brief video that you may have seen already. This is an example of, I guess it would be an example of a victory screen, sort of.
Okay.
And there is some, I guess, slight
Oh,
warnings.
I did see this.
Some slight warnings of things like, I guess, gore, like a little bit. It's all pixel art, so it's not really a big deal unless you're just very sensitive to it. And I guess disturbing imagery. I've been playing this game very loud, and it's the correct way to do it. If anybody would like an example of the art in Gorst, there you go. Some nice
Yeah,
droning.
I think loud is a good way to play this, seems like.
Yep. Um, but yeah, it's very good. It is the gameplay itself is a combination of very like I would say it's like Zelda, but the puzzles are in the single player adventure. The puzzles aren't room puzzles; they're like this weird competitive game that's like if you know old arcade games, it's kind of like Quicks, but you're trying to own all of the like colors of a space at once. So like a more recent thing that I've heard people reference for it is Splatoon. You're trying to like paint a space with your color, but you're traveling along lines. So it's sort of a Pac-Man-esque traveling. And the enemies are a combination of you have a single projectile you can shoot, and you can also catch it. But if you don't catch it, it will kill you. It'll kill anything else that it touches. And in order to catch it, you have to stop delivering your color. And there's a bunch of game modes that kind of encapsulate a standard like shooter set of gameplay modes. So there's like a domination mode where you're trying to control as much of the space with your color as you can. There's a mode where you're simply trying to it's like a King of the Hill mode, but it has you playing against other bots or people. It's also an online competitive game. And when you get taken out of the game, you have a timer, and the other person is able to go try to take over more color space. Also, when you blow somebody else up with your projectile, the space that they explode into will paint your color over space. So it becomes a very I would say longer and more aggressive game than you would expect for a single screen that sometimes is just like 4 squares next to each other. It's very strategic, but there's a lot of good art and a lot of like simple but satisfying things going on. Also, if you die too much, they explode your body and you turn into a tentacle with a face. And you have to
That sounds good.
earn your way back to having a tiny octopus body. So there's a lot going on in there, and it's all very good. It sounds and looks very good.
It sounds the perfect amount of spooky.
Yes.
Too.
The other game is spooky in a completely different way. The other game is called Going Under, and it's a sort of artsy. They're both artsy games. It's an artsy roguelike where you are an intern in a large company in I guess I would call it like a bright dystopia. It's like a what you would imagine like a Seattle would be. It's called New Cascadia, so it's essentially taking that future Seattle look to it. But you play as an intern at a huge company that makes fizzy water, and in the basement levels of their building, there are old companies that you have to go into. You were hired to be like a designer or it was like some social media job / designer or something. And they don't give you any work in that field. They just keep sending you into these dungeons to try and beat the bosses of these old companies. And the first place that they send you is a place called Joblin. and it's like a work source company, but it's entirely staffed by goblins with like spears and shit. And there's just like different weird sort of eldritch companies underneath it, and the goal that they're giving you in the company is to go. Also, you're working for like an overarching company, but you got a job with this fizzy water company. I think the writing is pretty good because it is actually like it's taking a lot of the real pitfalls of being an intern. Like, say some people who get jobs and then get given completely different jobs when they get those jobs, because what are you going to do, quit? um, or getting jobs uh, with a company and then finding out that even though they didn't advertise it, they're acting as an intern company for a different company, and fuck you. Well, you work for this other company, but we'll give you paychecks through this name, like that kind of shit. All things that I think a lot of us are pretty used to if we've done a fair amount of work. And slowly it's looking like as you defeat these other companies, like CEOs, I guess maybe. The first one was a large goblin with like glasses on and stuff. Also, the art's really good. I will. I feel like it's fair, given that I sent a picture of the last game's art, that I should probably send an example.
Yeah, I'm curious. I was gonna look it up.
Here's just a shot from inside one of the first levels, like dungeons. But after you beat that first boss, you receive a like weird cursed item that you take to your direct boss, and they put it in the water for the company, and it basically involuntarily caffeinates everybody in the building. So then, like here's a look at the style. It's my lighting setup is especially bad today for it, but we'll put some images on our Vegeta 42069 post.
I love the color palette of this game.
The color palettes change. From what I've seen, the second area is a cryptocurrency business completely staffed by skeletons and like weird demon bats. So like that's sort of the way that it's running. It seems like each one is a mashup of a fantasy trope with some form of I would say modern fantasy horror, which is trying to work as a Zoomer or millennial in a normal circumstance.
Yeah, that is spooky.
I worked for a incredibly profitable, very shitty company for a while, and I was never given status past being a temporary employee. Like I was handling cases for people in Canada that were very like important to their jobs and stuff like that. Like that kind of work, I think, is both predatory. The more I saw of it, the more I definitely thought that, and it's intertwines the work that you're doing with the internet with the work that other people are doing just to try and stay afloat anyway. So it's like a double dose of shittiness. And at the end, I worked a bunch of extra hours over our like extra wintry Christmas season that we had in Seattle. And then even though I was one of like 5 people who showed up at all for like a full week in our winter, I got fired pretty quick after that, and they didn't have to do anything because I was temporary. Like, it was literally just hand me a box of stuff. I didn't even get to go to my desk. It was just me showing up on a Monday and them saying like, "Oh, we don't need you anymore." That was the exact amount of warning I got, and I had just moved into a new apartment that was within walking distance of that job. Uh,
Wow.
and I proceeded to clearly not get high recommendations, even though I did from them directly to me, because I spent the next like 6 months unemployed before I could find anything. So yeah, I don't have a high opinion of companies, and if you share those not high opinions of companies with me, I think this is the kind of game that might be sort of exactly your style of humor. And I really like how they're embodying sort of the very separate ways that different aspects of a company work that are all very on purpose to make sure that they get the highest amount of fucking everybody over without any culpability.
Yeah.
Also, I had a discussion yesterday that I want to echo here. I think if anybody wants a good reason why people are not pro Democrats anymore, who seem like they should be if you're in the center, um, it's because those of us who are sort of realizing that both Democrats and Republicans are about exactly equal when it comes to being pro corporate. That's the problem. We're all getting completely fucked over by that stuff in a much more earnest way than our parents were. Whether they want to admit it or not, we are. And
Hmm.
that is why we don't want either side, is because they both want to support the corporate structure we have for everything, and they want to support a police force that literally protects those corporations and nothing else. So, like,
Yeah.
that's the problem. The racism and everything has been around forever, and it sucks that it took everybody getting forced down to make it apparent. But that's why it's such a big deal right now, because all of your white kids are also getting shit on, and that's a really easy way to suddenly develop empathy for the people who have been getting shit on for 400 years in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I mean, to people in who are taking that into account, how both parties treat corporations. I am losing my train of thought, but they are basically same sides of different sides of the same coin. The only difference is that one party is kind of semi interested in some like social change
Yeah.
and progressivism, but kind of performatively so. And the other side is just unflinchingly does not give any shits about that. So
If you want my true opinion on why
yeah,
the Democrats are better, it's because in order for them to be a party, they have to be against the things that the Republicans are for. So
hmm,
the things that they can choose that aren't corporate are things like healthcare, things that are like saying, hey, if you want all this stuff, just get it from us. But like, I think people also forget when they are pro Democrat that the Republicans say that to Republicans as well.
yeah,
And uh, other than the fact that there were some minor improvements during the Obamacare setup, those improvements weren't very much at all, and they benefited, you know, they benefited a few people, but like I'm still too poor to benefit from Obamacare, and that was sort of the point, was that poor people can get what they need. They can't. Like, that's just not how it works. Um,
right. And well, too much of the Democratic Party is like fixated on getting this mystical centrist vote that
Yeah.
doesn't, I don't know, maybe does, but they just concede so much that they're basically the same all of the
Uh,
time.
on September 22nd, Joe Biden put up a Twitter uh, post that I don't remember the exact reading of it, but the beginning of it was "I beat the socialist," and it was him describing that, hey, don't worry, I beat the socialist, so I'm the one that they want. I'm not going to tear down any of these systems, is essentially what he's saying. He's already said that
uh,
he's not pro police reform. He's already said he's not pro healthcare reform, not because he said he doesn't want to reform healthcare, but because he personally on his website, and I've said this a bunch, says that insurance is just going to be better. It's going to be closer. It's going to work closer with people. So,
oh,
uh,
we'll get
yeah.
their home phone numbers for your agent so you can call them at any time of night.
Yeah, well, that'll really help is just have a bunch of people who work for those agencies who are now even more tired because in order to feed their kids, they have to work at this job they hate. That'll really help out everybody. That changes nothing about our hospital system that our doctors don't even like. uh, like, everybody wants healthcare. Everybody wants it. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor or just not super rich. Everybody wants it. And the reaction of, well, we're speaking for the populace, and we say, how about some more insurance, though? It's nothing. Uh,
Yeah, but what if it was nicer? he, I can't remember what interview he was talking about it, but the way that he talked about it just made it seem like he genuinely thinks that it's going to be like a one-on-one relationship between you and your insurance person, and they're going to be like your friend, and they just like got your back, and that's
yep.
what it's going to be like now.
Yeah.
Which
Insurance people got your back. Insurance companies dictate exactly what they're going to give to hospitals, and they
yeah.
cut out a whole bunch of stuff. They just have the power to do that. Insurance
Mm-hmm.
companies have power over hospitals to determine what you can get. That's why you can't get stuff. It's not doctors being mean, it's insurance companies being terrible. And if they don't do it, then they're not going to have funding anymore. And they're not going to be able to run their hospital. So, like, it's the ultimate in which one's better for the community. Well, existing is better because at least we can take care of people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
as if people weren't misinformed enough about medicine as it is, if you don't have hospitals to train and learn in, what the fuck are we going to do? So, like, the only option we have is to disassemble insurance and do something better with it. But, like, so many people are convinced that that's going to take away their fucking, like, I don't know, their dialysis won't exist or something.
Or I won't be able to keep my doctor right now, or
You know.
something like
Also,
that.
if you're upset because you won't get to keep your doctor while there's a huge percentage of people that can't get treatment at all, fuck you. Your doctor will have work, you will have a doctor. Fuck off. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was listening to I actually can't remember who this conversation was between, but it was one guy, some like political commentator from the US talking to a guy who lives in Canada, and they were talking about how in Canada the guy from Canada was like, well, it's really slow, like the wait times are slow and
Yeah.
it's inefficient. And he was like complaining about how they ration healthcare. And the guy from the US was like, well, we also ration healthcare. The difference is that it's rationed according to just who can pay for it.
Yeah.
So, like, the rationing is already happening. It's just, you don't really think about it as an influence
Mm-hmm.
because we are made to believe that that is within your power to change, and it's your fault.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's crazy that people are willing to look at the system we have and just say that it works better than other places when that's statistically way not true. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I have a lot of issues with Japan, but I think looking at the way their healthcare works, it's essentially a more capitalist version of universal healthcare that we could totally use. Like, we just aren't going to.
Mm.
Like, Japan is always middle of the road. Sometimes Korea and Japan kind of trade back and forth with like what their acceptability range is, but Japan has a system that is kind of like a quicker, more subsidized take on what we do, but it's like a different version from what Canada does. It is essentially the government is working as the business that gives you healthcare, which is exactly what we want to do. But it's one of those things where they just take, hey, what's this person's situation? Okay, well, this is what their setup is going to be. If they need something way past that, it's needs based. So, like, if somebody gets a serious illness, they will help you. But otherwise, you're going to be given sort of your track of medicine that everybody gets. And like that sounds exactly like what everybody would want here, of like, I'm safe until I need something, and then maybe I'm not going to get it for free, but I'm going to be able to afford it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's like that is the version of debt collecting that people get here that they like. Like when they gave me a version of paying my student loans that I could do while they still get money, that's what it is. Like, they're getting money that they wouldn't get otherwise, and I'm not getting shit for it. Like, I don't think student loans are a thing that anybody should be paying, but at the same time, I get to not be harassed 10 times a day by cold calls. And I love that.
That's a
the
plus.
the absence of like weird trauma that I didn't even realize was building up. That's fantastic. I This year I was able to hear the Castlevania theme and not go into a panic. So I feel like that's a huge plus for me because that used to be my ringtone and I would hear it 10 times a day. And if I ever picked it up, the only thing that I would get was, "You owe us thousands of dollars," which, my savings was, it doesn't exist. So, always good.
Yeah, good not to have to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you can once again listen to the Castlevania theme without
Thank you.
it causing trouble.
So, how is Twilight going?
I honestly have not returned to the Twilight Saga since I
Interesting.
watched the last one. I have, like, Twilight related though,
Mm-hmm.
found there is a guy who has made a series of TikTok videos where
Yeah.
he just reenacts the facial expressions of the actors in the
Okay.
show. And you don't really notice it when you're watching it, but some of the acting and the facial expressions are so weird and strange and like overdone, but like not in any sort of normal way. I don't know, but he
Yeah.
just reenacts them in a really funny way. Um,
I mean, I
so
like the sound of that.
yeah, I'll have to send you a couple of his. But so those have been bringing me joy when I stumble upon them, but I have not really been in a movie watching space uh, recently.
Yeah.
I've actually watched more of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Okay.
Started that, it's really good. I like that. Have you seen that?
I haven't yet.
I think it's a good watch so far. I like I don't know who like directed it, but their cinematography is really good. The costume's really fun. It's I think supposed to be in the I want to say 50s.
Yeah.
That's probably wrong, but yeah, it's fun. It's it's a good watch. It centers around this woman who is like she's just like kind of a socialite, sort of stay-at-home mom type.
Okay.
And her husband is like working full time, but also trying to be a stand-up comic in the evenings, but he's just really bad at it.
Okay.
And so she kind of gets a taste through the scene just through him and realizes that she is actually very good at stand-up comedy. So she ends up doing that, and then he cheats on her and they end up splitting up. And
Nice.
that's kind of how she like makes it after that. But yeah, it's really funny.
Okay. If
Yeah.
a show can pull off cheating and make it funny, it's usually a good sign. Uh,
Yeah.
but what it doesn't sound very much like is Twilight. So
It's pretty opposite of Twilight.
I anticipated you not watching Twilight. And because of that, I would like to make it spooky.
Ooh, okay. Ooh.
And the way I'm going to make it spooky at the moment is I am going to present to you some selections. These are written by Melissa Rosenberg. If you know that name, it's because she wrote the shooting draft of the Twilight script.
Ooh, boy, okay.
So, see if you recognize these famous scenes from Twilight.
Okay.
Fade in. Rainforest, Olympic National Park, Washington, at dawn. Moss draped, shadow drenched, tortured tree trunks twist upward, reaching for rare sunlight. Bella in voiceover. I'd never given much thought to how I would die. Suddenly, every creature in the forest is deadly silent. Neither bird, beast, nor insect make a noise. A predator is near. Unknown POV. Moving.
Oh.
Trees start whipping past us at a dizzying speed. Branches are dodged with preternatural agility, and we're speeding up, chasing something. It's exhilarating, terrifying. Finally, up ahead, we get the first glimpse of our prey, a deer. Running for its life as it darts through this maze of a forest, it sprints forward, but we gain on it. Beyond the deer, trees. The buck races for the light. We're just behind it, about to emerge from the shadowy darkness. The deer leaps into the light in a high arc, hovering, suddenly slow motion, against the white glare of the sun. Then, bam! The deer abruptly plummets out of frame at an unnatural angle, leaving the white glare to fill the screen. Hold on, whiteness.
Hold on white hold on to whiteness, is that what it says?
Yep. Bella in voiceover. But dying in a place of someone. But dying in the place of someone I love seems like a good way to go. Then into the whiteness steps the face of Isabella Swan. So, I forget that that's her name. Also, they note in here that she's 17.
Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot that's her full name.
Yes. I would like to read parts of this all month, honestly, because the more that I read of this, the more that I realize that Twilight was written by a crazy person. Like the initial like book, I don't care, whatever. this screenplay is so grandiose in how it introduces characters and shit. Like, it also, looking through the hundreds of script changes that precede this, like, this is the beginning of the movie, in case you didn't know. Most people would, though. They changed a lot of things that are just, like, making a lot of people younger, which I thought was weird. There's a lot of 40 crossed out 30s in the script notes.
Not hot enough.
And I will read more of that today, but
Good.
I will also be reading some other selections of things. I think I have one other actual news thing I'm going to talk about, but I feel like I want to check with you after these fine readings and make sure that we get your thoughts on it. So you've seen which Twilight movies? You've seen the first one for sure.
A long time ago. Yeah, I saw the first one, and I've seen the last one. So there's a lot of middle ground to cover, but I know how things end for now.
I've definitely seen them all. I think I watched them all in a night, actually, because I have no respect for myself. But they don't get worse the way the Harry Potter movies do. Harry Potter movies go, the first one's pretty excellent. The first one's very nostalgic, and it's very separate from a lot of it. The second one's good. The third one's good. The fourth one's fine. The fifth one, I think, might be one of the best ones, and then it just shoots downhill into, like, a fucking bowl of shit. Like, they're watchable, but by the time you get to the end, and I mentioned this after I first watched them, man, it's just a disappointment. Also, seeing all those still relatively young, like 20-ish aged actors in old person makeup to symbolize that they're like 30 is the weirdest shit. It's fucking Daniel Radcliffe at whatever age he was done at, like probably 20, 22, somewhere in there. And they like have painted lines on his face, and he's like saying what it's his son's name. I want to say it's a son that he has with Hermione. Spoilers, I guess. Is named like Severus Dumble. What, Severus? It's like Severus Albus, like Sirius Potter or some shit. It's the most like, oh, you just jammed all the names of the other characters that you like that died into this kid. Cool.
Oh god. Yeah, that does sound like it went downhill quite a bit from my initial experiences.
I was excited initially because the thought I had was, well, they're gonna have to have some like resolutions with real consequences in order to get this story to finish. But they did all. This movie has the weirdest thing where it's like it builds up, and almost every movie that is good has a build up to a climax. It has an ending that usually doesn't dip. It usually slows down a little, but it like wraps things up at least a little bit, and it's probably 5 extra minutes per movie in a series for most of those. Unless you're the like original cut of, or the director's cut of Lord of the Rings, in which it ends for like a full hour or whatever. But in the Harry Potter movies, that last movie is one of the shortest, and it should have been one of the longest, because the thing that everybody actually wants about those movies is to see what's the deal with the school, what's the deal with the characters, how are we resolving our like personal issues. Like that's why it's such a fan fiction magnet and all that. The characters are interesting.
Yeah.
Even if a lot of them are problematic in hindsight, the characters as they appear are interesting. The end of the Harry Potter movie series, uh, there's a big fight, there's a conclusion to the big fight, and there's like a scene of them as old people, and that's it. That's the whole ending. It is nothing. Harry Potter gets done wand fighting the snake man. He walks out on a bridge and he goes, fuck wands, because he has like a special wand at that point. And then they like cut to them as old people, and then you're like, wait, it's credits? Like, I thought there was going to be any resolution. There's even characters you see in that end fight that die that are characters that you have seen for, like, some of them collectively at least a half hour of screen time in that series, where it's like, I know this character, that's interesting. They're dead now, I guess. Like, they're also kids, some of them. Like, and it doesn't even touch on it. It doesn't even mention it. Like, you literally see a character that dated a main character in like a movie ago, dead on the ground, having been killed by like a vampire or some shit. And you're like, oh, they're dead. Wow. Never mentioned. Like, nothing. It's crazy how shitty the end of that movie is.
That sounds a lot like the end of the Twilight series too. Like the big fight, and then like really no kind of extenuating resolution, and then a little glimpse into the future.
Yeah,
because Bella has like time travel mind powers or something.
It's a big fight. Two vampires are like, I'm into you, vampire, still. And then a werewolf goes, wink, to a little kid. And then it jumps into the future. The biggest betrayal for me is there's that character that they completely ignore that dates Harry Potter. Other character that dated Harry Potter, not somebody else. Not dead. They deal with all of her issues. They have like essentially a workup to, hey, we can resolve this weird social thing that happened, which seems especially important since you jump ahead to when people are married. Also, I mentioned Harry Potter and Hermione were married. That was a mistake. It was Ron's little sister because
Ginny?
Yeah, everybody has to get married to somebody who like is practically a sibling, which is fucking weird. The non-resolution to all of those things is terrible. At least in Twilight, you get an ending, even if the ending is like gross.
Yeah, that ending more than anything is just kind of don't like that. But lucky for us, she wrote more, so we get to see more.
I did hear some of the excerpts from that book, and it's trash. But what I want to talk about now, for a second, is eyes closed against the sunlight, absorbing its rays. Long dark hair frames alabaster skin. She's a vulnerable, introverted, imperfect beauty.
Oh my god. Okay, I want to know how many times all of these writers had to Google synonyms for white, because it's a lot of times.
Yeah.
So far we have alabaster, and I can't remember the first one, but it was different.
Let's see. They have the white glare and hold on whiteness. Into the whiteness steps the face of Isabella Swan. Swan is practically a synonym for white. In Bella's voiceover, so I can't bring myself to regret the decision that brought me here to die. The background comes into focus as we realize we're now in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Bella stands at the end of a cul-de-sac on the desert's edge, The sun blazes behind her. She bends down and carefully scoops a tiny barrel cactus in all capitals into a clay pot. Bella in voiceover. The decision to leave home. She stares at the cactus in a state of reverie until blonde number 1. Bye, Bella! In Bella's POV, McMansion across the street. 3 tanned, athletic, blonde girls, all capitals, hop into a convertible Mercedes. Their flawless, bought and paid for beauty contrasts with Bella's pale naturalness. They wave. Good luck at your new school! That's blonde number 1 again. They ad-lib superficial good wishes. Don't forget to write, we'll miss you. Bella waves back, sweetly, but half-heartedly, as she steps off the curb. Have a good... and trips. When she writes herself, they're already gone.
Oh, no.
Ellipses. Life, says Bella.
That's painful.
Um,
That's real bad.
but wait, I'm not done with this scene yet. Clearly not close friends, Bella's grown-up demeanor and innate intelligence become apparent as Bella's mother, Renee, mid-30s, exits their house. It's low rent for this ritzy neighborhood. Renee is eclectic, scattered, anxious, more best friend than parent. She thrusts a cell phone at Bella. It won't work again, baby. You put it on hold. I did? Look,
Oh my
who also
God.
calls Mexico. Renee pushes her playfully, and they laugh.
Wow.
Spooky!
Suddenly really glad that the mother was not in the series, because I don't think I can handle that for that long.
Oh no, I think I hear a ghost.
Ooh. The ghost of Renee. Also, I'm now realizing that's why her daughter's name is Renesmee, right? She's trying to mix together all the... I don't know. Yeah.
I love
All
the
right.
Scottsdale, Arizona scenes.
Clearly it's been a long time since I've seen it because I don't even remember that. Is that actually in the movie?
I don't
That she moved
remember.
from... I don't think it is. I could totally be wrong, but
I love how this writer is describing the scene in such a like I get it, being descriptive is important, but being like this seems weird.
This actually painfully really reminds me of how I used to write in like freshman year of high school. Just a lot of adjectives.
I think this is a way a lot of people write, including me for some things, but there's a difference between writing this way when you're writing this way for anyone and writing this way when it literally will be nowhere. Like this descriptive writing that is describing things that in some of them, like Bella being like an angelic alabaster statue or whatever the fuck. That's for the people working on this movie. And like I get how that kind of adds to like, well, this is how we should show it, but like I feel like you could blame some of this stuff for how they ended up making those movies as bad as they were.
Yeah, I can definitely see why they would have casted Kristen Stewart based off this writing.
Uh-huh.
She's very pale. That makes sense.
And she's what, what's her fucking description? She's like very adult and introverted and wise and all this shit. Anyway, I want you to know that we've only read 2 pages of 100.
Oh dear God.
So, that's the kind of action they're putting down.
I am enjoying this a lot. It's nice to have this peek behind the curtains.
Hmm. Um, so I think you mentioned um, therapy in your intro.
Oh yeah.
Do you wanna go into that?
Um yeah, I think it's just time to go back. It's been a while since I have been in any sort of therapy or counseling,
Yeah,
and um it's time to return. The
that's
last
fair.
yeah. Uh I don't know. I don't really have anything in particular I wanted to say about it other than I think I don't know. I consider myself pretty in touch with like my mental health and knowing myself in that way.
Yeah,
Um, but I also have not for a long time considered doing that again because I kind of was under the impression of like, well, I've done it before. I've like done the work. I know that I'm all fucked up and I know like what I need to do.
right.
But um it's also something you continually have to like work on and talk about. So,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
I use everybody I know as a therapist, uh, which doesn't mean I shouldn't get therapy again at some point, but
Yeah.
I did some pretty intensive therapy and like childhood medication stuff. And when I came out of that, the medications I'm sure helped with certain things. I know they did for certain things, but some of it was just like things that we were trying.
Mhm.
And some of those I'm not so sure helped, but they did give me perspective on some shit, like how different life is if you just have a slight change in how you're thinking, which
Yeah, your like brain
ultimately,
chemistry.
yeah, that ultimately is sort of what therapy gives you is a look at what a better version of your day to day can be if you want it to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to get wrapped into unhealthy practices even through therapy. And I also think it's easy to like misunderstand therapy and think that you're over something too quickly. Um,
Mhm.
but like for me personally, I'm very pro therapy. Honestly, I think every single person, no matter how happy they think they are, should have therapy at least at some point. Kind of like I think every person, no matter how compassionate they think they are, should have to work retail at some point
Yeah.
because dealing with those kinds of things in your own mind and dealing with them in reality is very different. And my only misgiving when it comes to therapy is that I think a lot of people, when they reach honestly the state that you seem to be at, where you think you would like to try it again, some people get to that point and they go, I should be a therapist. And I think that's pretty common, but I also think a lot of people in that position probably just fuck themselves over, but not all of them. I definitely had that one instructor in college who should have been getting therapy and instead became a professional and was fucking crazy. I mean that in a very serious way. They were disillusioned with some things. That's fine, but they were way past basic conspiracy theory shit. And being able to work with people who have issues that they want to fix in that state is unhealthy as hell. So not
Yeah.
always a great thing, but you know, I think it is a great thing to experience for people.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've just been in a, and I don't want to also come off as thinking that therapy is like a cure-all because obviously it's you have to do it in conjunction with making effort and sometimes medication depending on what the thing is. And that might end up being the thing for me. I haven't been on any medication for a while.
Yep.
Um, and I'm fine most of the time. I think it might be like I think it might be kind of situational that like why I'm feeling this way again because I am getting into more of a depressive state than I have been in a while.
Uh,
And
this won't surprise you. I've talked to a fuck ton of people who tell me that. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not incredibly surprising. Yeah, that's been the thing. I think some of it has been like my work schedule is pretty crazy, and I have like issues with procrastinating and perfectionism to the point of like I don't think I can do this thing the way that I imagine it, so I'm just like gonna put it off and put it off and put it off until like
Yeah.
I get struck with this imaginary lightning bolt of inspiration that really never comes. But I think it's a mixture of like that and like the anxiety that's been compounded from that, and then probably some like unhealthy coping with I don't know, just depending on alcohol to like unwind and relax and staying up too late and all of these things, like small things that I could also do in conjunction with the therapy to help. But I think when I make the decision to actually like spend money and make time to do that, it's easier for me to rationalize and be like, okay, well, might as well do these
Yeah.
things at the same time. But yeah, it's been a rough couple of months, and I'm just like, I think it's time
Yeah.
before things get too much worse.
I
Uh,
yeah, that's usually the right time to talk to people. Uh,
yeah.
and honestly, there's a lot of people who can't afford to do that stuff, and if
Hmm.
they happen upon this while they're looking for anything to distract them from their depression, uh, my advice would be talk to anybody you trust and then see if you can work from there into what you think you need, because there's also a big difference. I think being pro mental health also requires people, if they're going to be responsible about it, to be uh, pro seeing mental health as separate from necessarily mental illness. Uh, I think that a lot of ideas of like not wanting to be the people who have, I don't know, like for me it was fear of schizophrenia for a long time, because I had heard weird rumblings in like family stuff that like maybe that could be a thing in our family. And I mean, the upside is I met people with schizophrenia and I realized that like, oh, you can see when that happens. But like um going and talking to professionals and seeing what they think, even though one of them that had no time for me uh, gave me some of the worst advice and worst prognoses ever. Uh, that's just sort of something you have to deal with in medicine. Like, some people don't give a shit. And I think some people give up on it after people don't give a shit. And that also sucks. Um, uh, for me, it was somebody in an inpatient telling me that all of my problems were because I was uh, heavily narcissistic, which, as somebody who hated myself, especially at that time, and was incredibly depressed that I would never be anything to anyone, like that, I was there on Valentine's Day, inpatient wise, specifically because I had, I mean, more specifically because I hit sexual maturity way too early and spent way too long going, why don't any of these women like me? Why don't any people like me that way? And then uh, that was like, by the time this happened, I was like uh, 15, I want to say. So for
Hmm.
me, it had been uh, 9 years. And for other people, it had been maybe 2 or 3. Weird. Figure there's a lot of time to build up a feeling that maybe this discomfort is brought on by my own biology, but also like a history of relative depression in my family. So like, thankfully, I got to see what that looked like and see what it looks like in a way that made me realize that I really want to try to avoid that, because
Mhm.
it hurts people around you quite a bit to be somebody that other people care about and then also be like on the edge all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's where
Yeah,
what my concern is right now. And I've always had well, not always, but I've actually been better mental health wise in the last couple of years than I have my entire life. So
yeah,
that's good. But all that is something that I've always been worried about in my relationships is that you know, it is hard to be in a relationship with someone who is like this.
yeah.
So,
It can be.
yeah. Um, so that's part of the thought process as well. But it's interesting that you say that someone called you narcissistic for
Yeah. Uh, it was a it was just somebody who, like a doctor they had that did like quick meetings with inpatients, because it was voluntary inpatient stuff. Like
mm,
I was having like suicidal ideation, and I went and saw my regular therapist and talked to them about it, and then they like brought in my parent to the room, and we like talked about how like, do you think this is something that you're okay with staying somewhere, because like legally and just sort of responsibility wise, I can't have you like sitting around thinking about killing yourself.
right.
And like, it was fairly fleeting. Like everybody I think has some form of like suicidal tendency at some point in their life for the most part, but
Mhm.
I think that like I I don't know if it's responsible to normalize that, but I think for me it was incredibly useful to go to a place, hang out with literally like tens of people who were in the exact same boat, and hear about why. Uh, because it changed a lot of like my feelings of isolation from that. And honestly, I think that is a lot of it, is that feeling of isolation. One of the people I met there was there because they were one of the only Asian American people in the group that they like were with, and some stuff came up that nobody else had any interest in dealing with, and they just sort of fell out of feeling like they belonged anywhere. Another person was kind of more like me, I think, just um, like insufferably horny and didn't know that that was like something that wasn't necessarily normal for everybody, but also knew that other people didn't respond to them the way they expected. So that also turned into a learning experience, because that person was very like very active, like communicating with me after we had gotten out, which was one of those things of like, that's the only time that parents have ever stepped in and been like, stop talking to this person. And like, yeah, it was probably the right move. Even if I was 15 and pissed off at that as a thing, like,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then another person who was there was really depressed because they were short. And other than that, they seemed totally fine. Like, it's crazy the things that can trigger a feeling of otherness in people. And
Mm,
like, I think it's worth noting, very few of the people that were there were like, I would say it was the most mixed race group of people that I've been in since I had been in grade school when I went there. And something about that, and having been in a school with almost exclusively white kids in a series of schools for a while, also cheered me up. So, like, who knows how much of any one thing it was. But that one doctor, I think because I, so I have a habit of trying to talk like I'm not an idiot, but also trying to be like I don't know, explanatory but not weird when I'm talking to medical professionals.
Mm-hmm.
People who are close to my age have always responded really well. People who are medical professionals who are like 10 years or older than me have always responded by treating me like a piece of shit. And it's something in the way that I talk to people that if they're enough older than me, they think that I'm like trying to be on their level or something, and they get pissed off about it. I don't know why, but it's been consistent. When I went to a doctor from when I was in college, the only time I saw a doctor for anything in like a 10-year period, basically, and it was like the second or third year I was in college, and I got food poisoning, but it seemed pretty serious, and they treated me like I was a piece of shit, and then they told me they're the ones who gave me the prescription pad that they just wrote popsicles on, and that was the most like I don't know, aggressively shitty way that I think I'd been dealt with in person. I'd had people
That's
be
really
shitty
shitty.
through like uh here's what they said, and being given like paperwork essentially by receptionists and stuff that explained how they were being shitty, but that was like one of the worst in-person ones. Anyway,
Yeah,
long-winded way
that's
to
pretty bad.
say getting help is good, and don't let things that aren't great discourage you, because like I don't know. I could be a very quiet and very like depressed person, I think, if I had not talked to people. And as it is, I get shit for being quiet anyway, so like it would be much worse. But I don't know,
Yeah.
pro therapy, but mostly pro taking care of yourself, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I I um I get caught in the kind of thought spiral of uh am I taking care of myself to the point of it not being good though? I don't know. I'm always I think I do kind of self-destructive things, but in my head I'm rationalizing it as taking care of myself.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, that's one other reason I think it'd be good to talk to someone. It's just good to have someone like call you out on that kind of shit. Um, 'Cause I don't I I think because I have dealt with like mental health stuff pretty much my entire life. It's kind of an interest of mine. Like I think it's very interesting to talk about that with people.
Hmm.
Um, and so I because I'm interested in it and I've learned a lot about it, I'm also kind of like hyper fixated on it sometimes. And I have a bad tendency to try and like self-diagnose everything,
Yeah.
which is, never a good thing, although I'm fairly confident about some of my self-diagnoses. Um, but even that would be good to talk to an actual person, an actual professional about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't think that paying attention to the way that you act is bad, but it definitely is. It's a problem of degrees, like all of that stuff. It's the I have, like me for example, I have a hip that the socket isn't great in, and I am okay with dealing with like pain from that. A lot of people have like certain joints or certain injuries or whatever that just kind of suck. But it can be really hard because of that if something in a similar place is causing a problem that isn't the same or isn't the same seriousness. So like the more you get used to something, the harder it can be sometimes to see when it's a problem.
hmm yeah, yeah, that's good advice. Ah!
Ah!
Spooky mental health.
In the light of the late
Ooh.
afternoon sun, Tugger languorously stretched away his 12-hour repose, long limbs peeking out from under a soft blanket 2 sizes too small. Finding the bed beside him empty and cold, he made to call out to his bedfellow, but he was cut off by the sound of a disparaging sigh. Curious, Tugger stole a peek over the foot of the bed. Oh, there was Mistopheles. In the corner of the den, which had been claimed by Tugger and his many necessities, stood a tall, warped mirror, and before it stood the conjuring cat himself. When Tugger first introduced the magnificence of his full-length mirror to his mate's den, which Mistopheles insisted was more than welcome to a few comfort items for when he stayed over, the Tux balked and whined that it blocked his way, and couldn't he go an evening without it? But many a times, like now, Tugger would find the Tux primping and preening in front of the mirror, eyeing himself from every imaginable angle and trying out new styles for his fur, judged by yours truly, of course. This time, Mistopheles inspected himself a little more intently than he usually did. By the everlasting cat, did he just pinch his thigh? Turning to view his side, the Tux ran his paw over the curve of his bottom, which Tugger found absolutely perfect in every way. And yes, even indulged in a bit of envy over the toned pertness of his mate's rear. But it came from countless hours of dance and strenuous training Tugger himself couldn't be bothered with. While the coon found the sight rather appealing, Mistopheles seemed considerably less than satisfied as he finished his inspection with a begrudging sigh. Now why was that? Turning to his belly, flat and smooth with tight, lean muscle, he pinched off an errant bit of fat and grimaced. For his mate, Tugger felt hurt and disgusted. How could Mistopheles betray himself so? Hadn't Tugger made it quite clear how sexy and desirable he was? His legs were a marvel that drove any cat with a pulse wild. That sleek and perfectly postured back, which could fold back in the most graceful and flexible curve, and led to the most gentle and sensuous soldiers that worked marvels when he'd peek over them to look at you.
This person wants to fuck cats.
Yeah, buddy. There wasn't yet an appropriate adjective for that show-stopping smile that so often was hinted at with small grins and sarcastic smirks. Bestet, the Tom was beautiful in every way. Hadn't he already figured? That was it. He couldn't let this go any further. The mirror's influence had corrupted his mate, and now he'd have to slave to reconstruct his undermined self-esteem. A task that Rum Tum Tugger was more than ready to take on. This isn't too much longer, but it is important. Morning, he barked, startling Mistopheles, who released his stomach in shock. Everlasting, you're rather chipper this morning, Mistopheles chuckled, not pulling his gaze from that treacherous mirror. I was thinking we could go to the park and try our luck with the rabbits there. I'm feeling lucky today. Tugger slipped out from under the covers and leaped to his feet, earning a curious look in the mirror. Whatever you wish, my sexy minx.
What the?
A snort. Right, well, my gorgeous love stud. Do you want to make quick work of getting ready then? Tugger wrapped his arms around the Tux's waist, pressing in close to plant a slow and sultry kiss on the curve of his neck. I can't. You're distractingly stunning. I know, Mistopheles gawked. Forget beauty sleep. I must have been in a gorgeous coma. Tugger blinked. Yes, you're dazzling. Right? Cheerily, the Tux spun around, planted a kiss on his cheek, and smacked him firmly on the bottom before dancing off to the door. Which is why you must hurry. I want everyone to see how amazing I look today. Who is he to keep such a gorgeous creature waiting? Coming? Quickly, Tugger flattened the worst of his mane, brushed his claws over his whiskers, and scampered after Mistopheles. eager to show off his gorgeous mate. A fiend. Spooky.
Why is it so horny? Oh.
See, sometimes you can have a healthy obsession or an unhealthy obsession with other people's mental health as well.
Uh-huh.
As illustrated in that spooky story.
That was very spooky. Wow, when you read those first couple sentences, it took me too long to think. I was like, what scene of Twilight is this?
It's true. It is.
I was like, who's Tugger?
Oh, that was one of the werewolves, I'm pretty sure.
That's all I could think of. I'm like, this has to be one of the, like, Jacob's dudes or something. I don't know. Oh my god. That took me way too long to catch on. Jesus.
Well, honestly, it's fine that you didn't catch on right away, because if you had, I would be disturbed.
What? Boy. Where do you find these?
Well, I have to keep some secrets.
Okay. Is this the
honestly,
screenplay for the musical, or is this the poem?
that was fan fiction.
Oh, okay. See, I've never read any of the actual poem that it was based off of, so I was like, wow, this is he must have been real horny when he wrote this.
No, T.S. Eliot had his own problems, and
oh boy.
That fan fiction, I don't think there are any characters that in the story would be like LGBT accessible. It's very much
That's
a like
true.
Excitement of the theater kind of thing, not a inclusiveness kind of thing. In fact, you could make a case that it is non-inclusive in that they only pick the most outside of the norm cats to shoot into space.
That's true. Well, at least the fanfic people have taken up the mantle to expand the Cats universe.
They sure have. I believe that I navigated away because I can't deal with the word mate very much in that context. I hate it.
No.
But I believe the writer of that was Crazy Indigo Child. So if
that
you need
checks out.
if you need to find more of their work, you can. I almost picked a story that was too gross. Thankfully, I read through it a little bit more first. I had not read past the first couple lines of that last one. I just knew it was short enough to get through it. But some people really slip in the bad stuff when you're not expecting it.
Well, at least we have plenty of material for our other mini segments at some point.
It's true. In fact, finding the script for, let's say, more Twilight movies might be excellent for those. Because if they're written as well as this first script, they are very exciting.
Yes. More of that. Yeah.
Don't worry, I have a few more stories that we're going to get to. Don't worry.
Excellent. I will not fret in the meantime.
Largely this week, the news was not that interesting. Like, there was news. The Breonna Taylor stuff came through, and they charged no one. I believe we talked about that last week some, I think. I can't remember exactly, but time.
How did it happen last week? I thought it happened. Did it happen on Wednesday? Or did it happen? When did that happen?
I thought it happened Tuesday, and I thought we recorded afterwards, but we might not have. In case that didn't come up, one person got charged with intent to harm drywall, and that's it.
Yeah.
So aggressive, murderous action and killing people, if you're the police, doesn't matter. That is the message they're sending. The other message that was sent was Joe Biden saying in the post of that, our heart really goes out to the police who got shot. So the two injured police who are fine, they got a call out from Joe Biden, but the issues that sprung up didn't. So I consider that very along the lines of him saying things like, I beat the socialist recently, in which he's clearly not interested in helping out with progressive things, which means we're basically just going to have, if we can get him into office, a person who is less likely to kill us. And that's what I kind of anticipated from the very start of him getting the nomination. So congratulations, our parents. You got garbage. We brought you a whole bowl of shit, and you're going to eat all of it.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah. The aftermath of the Breonna Taylor verdict was pretty wild. Candace Owens made sure to chime in, which I don't watch her, but I saw someone else reacting to like whatever she posted. She basically just went on like a 20-minute, I didn't even watch the full thing, rant in recounting how all of the media had reported like everything about her case incorrectly, and that like everything was untrue, which she was lying. The specific items that she mentioned like were true. She said she like, I don't understand the hills that these people die on, especially her. She made a point to say that, well, she's not actually really an EMT. Yes, she is. She was an EMT. What else? She claimed that they had found drugs in her house. That's not true. They claim. What else did she claim? One thing that she specifically mentioned was not true. That she was saying, people were reporting that Breonna Taylor was shot when she was laying in bed, which is true. But her correction that she issued was, she wasn't in bed. She was in the hallway when she was shot. And I'm like, why does that matter to you at all? Why is that's the hill you're going to die on?
What? Oh, yeah. No, we're talking about the Candace Owens thing? Oh, yeah. No, she did say that Hitler had a lot of good ideas. Oh, God. God. Something spooky showed up there for a second.
The ghosts did not appreciate. Yeah. She's gross. That woman's gross, obviously, but I don't. It's really weird. The line of argument where you claim that everything the media has reported is false, and then you just immediately lie about all of the same things. Like, I don't get that at all. I mean, I get it, but frustrating.
I get it. I don't get how other people don't get it. That's more, I don't know. People who want to believe something really want to believe it, and it feels like the more not true it is, the more willing to go through hoops you are to say it is. It's the whole conspiracy problem again. Like, Candace Owens is not white and she agrees with white supremacists. So people will make excuses as to why she's legitimate forever. Like, she would have to have a videotape of her saying, like, kill Whitey, and it would have to go super viral before anybody would dismiss it, I think. Which is not the best state of things. Honestly, everybody should just not pay attention to her, but the internet does a good job of making that impossible.
I mean, I really don't understand how like I have family members who listened to her podcast or whatever and pay attention to her, and I'm like, if you are willing to listen to this one black woman, could you not listen to literally anybody else also and take their opinion into account, because she is not representative of like the majority opinion. She's not representative of like she's just one person. So I don't understand. Yeah. That's frustrating. Like, broaden the voices that you listen to, please. If you're willing to take one woman's opinion as like the truth, that's very dumb.
Or you could just do what people like Alex Jones do and say, well, I listen to everybody. I get all the different people's opinions. It's just that all of these people are the Antichrist.
That is an alternative approach. It's great for entertainment purposes. Not so great on the possible lawsuit department, but
yeah, not so great on the human rights department. I would say, personally, this spooky shadow room that I've created is a lot different than my usual lighting setup, but I might hold on to it, especially for this month. I just my red light is created by a cutting board. So.
Oh, okay.
Well,
it produces a nice effect.
Yeah. Wait, the ability of me to even move in this space is very limited right now. Especially if I don't want everything next to my drink collection.
Got to keep that drink collection close, so.
Yep. Oh, boy. Well, I'll figure it out. You got to be able to reach me and Phil on the road. I love saying that. On the road. Very romantic, said Bella. Phil, 31, good-looking with an athlete's body, exits the house carrying Bella's 3 suitcases with ease. Phil, if you call crappy motels, backwater towns, and ballpark hot dogs romantic, he puts his Phoenix Desert Dogs baseball hat on Renee's head with a kiss. Phil's love of Renee reassures Bella. Phil heads to the old station wagon to load the luggage, while Renee slips her arm through Bella's, clinging to her as they walk to car. Bad.
I love walking to car.
They walk to car. Now, if you change your mind, I'll race back here from wherever the game is. But Renee's strained expression tells us what a great sacrifice that would be. Bella forces a smile. I won't change my mind, Mom. You might. You've always hated forks. It's not about forks. It's about Dad. I mean, 2 weeks a year, we barely know each other. Off Renee's still worried look. Mom, I want to go. I'll be fine. But as Renee hugs Bella, we see the truth on Bella's face. Dread, doubt, regret. Off Bella, struggling to keep her facade as she climbs into the back seat of the car. Begin titles over. From Bella's POV out the car window, Scottsdale. Bella, iPod earbuds in her ears, gets a last glimpse of the sparkling malls, chic shoppers, manicured cactus gardens. Pull up and out of the car until we're above Scottsdale, aerial shot, daytime. The McMansions get smaller as we sweep over the scorched landscape, baking under a hot sun, Beyond the housing development, see the rocky, dry desert extending for miles. Rise higher and higher still until finally we're suspended within the bright, perfect blue sky with only an occasional cloud. Slowly, the clouds start getting more numerous, thicker, darker, until we're completely immersed in time, the sun disappearing. Finally, we emerge from the clouds to find below the Olympic Peninsula, Washington State.
Ooh. That was good. I like the description of flying over places.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I don't think the symbolism of the desert matters. I think that having all of these ideas could only work if they made a movie that used them.
Yeah. Her mom isn't even in the movie at all, is she?
I don't remember. That my first memory in that movie is still her like pulling up to her dad's place. So like I don't remember any of the mom stuff, but it could be there.
Maybe.
Also, I'm reading these off of the thing that I order food with, so I might have to push a few of them closer together so that I can order food.
That is what is important. The time is near.
The time is near for food?
I believe so.
15 minutes till food, huh? Yep.
Yep.
And that's why we're so good.
The best podcast that is not on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, iTunes. I don't know what things are called anymore.
Cthulhu's POV. I will stop at nothing to kill the Slender Man. Thinks he's so much better than me because he kidnaps? Who cares? Cthulhu travels to this planet, so-called Earth, to stop the Slender Man because he wants to destroy him. But little does he know the Slender Man is waiting. Slender Man's POV. Cthulhu thinks he can stop me. Psh, he couldn't be able to catch up. Slender Man is still teleporting just to catch his next victim, like Tim, who's wandering through the forest, collecting notes off the side of trees. Tim's POV. While Tim was wandering through the forest collecting the notes he was finding on the trees, he stops for a break, then turns and sees a man with a completely white face and a suit and very tall with long arms. Tim starts sprinting away, but the mysterious man keeps up easily. Tim is getting tired easily. But why isn't the mysterious man getting tired? Then he thinks to himself about all the scary video games he's ever played. Then he figures it out. This mysterious man is Slender Man. He thinks to himself, I'm screwed, and stops for another break. Then he looks back and sees the Slender Man disappears, and he sees an ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and he remembers from another of his games, the ancient city of Relay is deep in the middle, Cthulhu City to be precise. I added some punctuation because he fucked up a bunch. Then out of nowhere, the city of Relay started rising higher and higher till it was flat on the water's surface. Then a bridge came out connecting the city and the land, and he saw Cthulhu. Cthulhu's POV. What have we here? End of the first chapter. I will make another chapter if I get more followers and if I get enough likes. That's the only chapter.
Well, everyone, you know what to do.
That was written by Unknown Films. So, wow. I guess look it up.
We need to know what happens.
Sure
Tim?
do.
Tim?
Yep. Tim. I thought that was an important
Okay.
story for everybody to know about.
At first I heard Cthulhu, and then I heard Spider-Man, and then I heard Slender Man. I was
Spider-Man.
wondering.
I would love
I
Spider-Man to be in Tim's place in that story.
I mean, now having finished part 1, I still think that there is a chance Spider-Man could make an appearance.
There's
It's
no
not
proof
out of
that
the question.
Tim isn't Spider-Man. That's sort of the whole
Sure.
Spider-Man thing. Anybody could be Spider-Man.
It's true.
Well, I guess the only thing I can really do now is order some of this. Nothing but deep, dark green forests for miles. Sweep down, finding the eerily dramatic Lake Crescent. Over it all hangs the mist from an ever-present cloudy gray sky. Everything is wet and green and drenched in shade. Find a 2-lane highway along which drives a police cruiser. Push in on the cruiser until we reach the passenger side window. Bella looks out, taking in her gloomy new surroundings. End of titles. Oh! All right. Now the slightly less demonic and spooky activity of ordering food.
Slightly, ever so slightly.
What was that? Spooky? Oh, were you staying here and wanting food of some kind?
Yes. What is where are you guys getting stuff?
I don't know. That's part of the process.
Very stoned. So.
Oh, the spooky energy is very stoned, so it may take a second to find out.
This is not going to make matters any better.
Enjoy your tall 16-ounce Mountain Dew can, the spookiness.
Ooh, spooky.
Sounds gross.
Okay. You should text me.
All right. Well, okay. Having had Taco Bell not that long ago,
yeah,
I think I have an opportunity to select some very interesting small dishes from a new place, perhaps.
What new place were you thinking of?
Let's see what is available. Or I could just get bubble tea.
It's true.
That's always an option. There is a Greek place that we have not tried yet.
You know what's always good for if you're not feeling your best? It's feta cheese.
Or any kind of cheese, really. That'll do it.
Usually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is the silent watcher?
Sorry, things are being referenced that are not existent in the podcast universe. There is a video with the sound turned off that might be from like a Latter-day Saints group or something of an autumn scene with a river through it. Because if I don't have something in the background that keeps it from being completely empty in this room, I oftentimes end up seeing what's outside too often. But the Silent Watcher, if they are a religious affiliated group, I guess don't watch their videos unless you want to. But they do make pretty decent, like high def images, like static shots of different nature spots. And their loop isn't too short. so you get a good amount of sound without repeating on it. I have it on silent, but I don't. Hard to determine what's happening in the spooky atmosphere right now.
It's getting spookier by the minute.
It really is.
Okay, I made a decision that instead of going with this new place, since I will be ordering smaller portions, I'm just going to invest in some sushi instead.
Okay. That seems like a good option.
Yes.
I feel the spooky energy is really active today.
It is. Bento dinner. No, I just want sushi. I want the sushi.
Just the sushi, please.
Only the sushi?
If at all possible.
What is your opinion of deep fried or tempura fried sushi rolls?
I don't go to raw fish for that. I love tempura and I love sushi. I tend to want sashimi, and if I'm hungry, I want nigiri. I think those are the two. I think nigiri is with rice, right?
Yeah.
And I like tempura, but I want tempura the same way I want like fried food. They just happen to make real good fried seafood type stuff. So.
Yes. That is my general opinion. I think I like having them as separate items.
Yes.
Ooh. I must text and consult my own resident spooky energy to figure out
yeah.
what he needs.
Let's see. It's hard to decide today. Some of this talking about seafood makes me want fish and chips.
Ooh.
And that sounds pretty good and not too expensive. I'm having to check. Let's see, just making sure. Taking a brief detour on my devices over here because there's a lot of fucking suspicious activity happening at my workplace.
Oh no.
And one of the things, I don't see anything super current. But it's all right. I've responded to the other. I had a third party talking about the same issue. I think I'm safe to recover here. So my workplace is a small business that depends a lot on other businesses and weddings in order to exist, especially like right now. And when you work in a business that could have bits of trouble, and you hear from people working there that the person who runs the business has been kind of quiet lately, apparently taking some time off for mental health reasons,
Ooh.
all that kind of stuff. It's not like, I don't know. I try to be accepting of that as like taking care of yourself, but it's a very uncommon thing. So it also makes me in that it puts me on edge, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't necessarily have any opinion of like it's not like strength of will or anything. It's just like the person who runs the place where I work is a normal ass person in pretty much every context. So having an issue seems totally normal to me. But usually they aren't very healthy about it and they just force their way through it. So
Yeah.
It does concern me a little bit because I would love to still have an income. I would like them to be okay, but there are two sides of this story that both interact with me. Anyway, that's an update on the uncertain life of everything everywhere.
Yes. I think it is a very stressful time to be a human that is conscious and working,
Yes.
and also just in general.
Yep. I would agree with every bit of that.
Yep. I'm trying to do the math on how I can get the most bang for my buck
Yeah.
on the sushi deal. I feel like there needs to be more tiers of like sushi platters. I would like a level 1 sushi platter.
Honestly, yeah, totally. Getting sushi not at a sushi restaurant is one of the hardest things to order, like outside of just general stuff.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, hmm. Well, since I have an additional spooky presence that is both high and I wasn't expecting, um, maybe I should go for something that's a little bit cheaper, but easy for a high person to like, which is Lunchbox. Just burgers.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
I'm gonna call the spooky presence. I think. Oh, there we go.
On my screen right now, one of your eyes is red and the other one is blue. It's very spooky.
Spooky presence isn't picking up. I know you're over there, spooky presence. I'm 20 feet from you.
I can feel your presence.
Okay, well, I'll wait a minute. I think that this spookiness should be easy to order and also will not take that long to handle.
Mm.
There is an odd noise coming from there that's quite loud. Maybe there's already communication, a seance, if you will.
Mm.
So let me hear about your options you're looking through, because sushi interests many people, but perhaps your individual sushi wants will inspire people.
Maybe. I am a very boring sushi eater, although I like to try new things, different
Yeah.
fishes. But I will opt for sashimi, but my sashimi options are kind of limited because they're all kind of expensive. So, mm, which is I guess they're not they're for sashimi, they're decently priced. I guess I'm just trying to decide if I need to get um what I can get that will also cater to the taste of my spooky presents,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty limited to like tuna and um I want to say yellowtail.
What? Yellowtail's Hamachi, I think.
Mhm.
It's real good. Those are
Yeah,
both
I
good.
like yellowtail.
Hmm.
Mm. But my
Hmm.
options are kind of like only get all of that, all of one thing, and there's not a lot of individual options. Maybe I should get.
Yes.
What is white tuna?
I don't know, because there's a lot of names for stuff like different colors of types of fish are often a different type of fish, not
Yeah.
what they say it is. I just based on the name, I would guess white tuna is uh, less fatty than standard tuna, but it's hard to say.
Hmm.
Most white fish are called white fish because they have white flesh usually, but they also tend to be leaner, which I
Hmm.
don't like as much, generally speaking. But I could be wrong as well.
Do you know what tamaki is? Is
Uh,
it a type of
yeah.
sushi?
Uh, I used to know these names much better. Uh, I just remembered for people wanting a weird additional thing, uh, if you make it through the boredom of us ordering food, it will be coming up. Uh,
Hmm.
Interesting. Um, Weird. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing what tamaki is on here. Um,
I'll Google it as well, see what comes. What is tamaki?
I'm looking through a series of burgers, including the Cod Father, which is two pieces of cornflake breaded Alaskan cod with cheese, bacon, house-made mustard slaw, and a bread and butter pickle tartar sauce, which sounds pretty fucking good.
That does sound good.
Um, Also looking at the homage to the Dick's Deluxe, which is, of course, uh, the largest burger that you can get at a Dick's, which is our like version of like a White Castle, but they do actual burgers and not the things that White Castle sells, which,
Hmm.
while delicious, are confusing. um, let's see. I am a little annoyed because some of the burgers that are on here, they just decided not to explain what they are,
Oh,
which is an
that's
odd
not helpful.
choice. Yeah. Um, they have this weird like some of these things we're just going to go ahead and assume that you get it. Uh, Very strange. But they do have a sauce called Papa's Barbecue, so maybe I'll forgive them for that.
I do think you should take that into account. Oh, Inari. It's been a long time since I've had Inari.
If you're watching this, please let us know in the comments which sushi we should be getting.
Correct my decisions.
My favorite hamburger is a homemade hamburger with only a small amount of cheese and 3 slices of pickle on it. Discuss. Is there sauce? No.
That is surprising to me. I think the pickle is right. There should be lots of pickle.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So the reason why I do that is because I cook burgers to be like a little bit rare. And I basically spice the burger with like salt and pepper and dill and some other things. And then I get the outside fairly crispy. I get the inside to be a little red. I then at the end stage I'll put enough pickle essentially to cover the top of the burger in one layer, and then melt cheese over it to like seal it in, and then I'll toast the buns. So it's as close to something that is only accentuating the saltiness and the fats in the meat, and that's it. And I don't. If I'm gonna make a burger, I want it to be a meat experience. If I'm gonna buy a burger, I'll get, for example, some of these burgers which are a mess, but it's a different experience for me if I cook it.
That makes sense. You want the emphasis to be on the actual burger itself.
Yeah, especially because I don't eat a lot of like hamburgers compared to some people, at least. And I also don't make burgers very often. So if I do, it's probably from a starting point of I need some fucking meat.
Yeah. Okay. I have determined, I think, that it might just be more cost efficient to just bite the bullet and get one of these platters.
Yeah. Well, a platter comes with the benefit of being mostly things for the boring people to guarantee that people will like the most stuff.
That's true.
Your spooky presents will be covered.
This is true.
So there are 2 things that I see on this menu that are in the middle, are not for non-human consumption as far as I can tell. One of them is called Rinds of Life, and it is a crispy deep-fried pork rind served with buttermilk ranch, which sounds kind of fucking disgusting. And then next to it, you can order, no description, dog sticks. How many dog sticks would you like in your human dinner?
No description on that at all. Just dog sticks.
No description necessary for dog sticks. It sounds like something you would feed to somebody who's wearing like a spider gag or something.
God. It kind of does, yeah. God.
All right. I'm just gonna, if I can't get through to the spooky presents, I'm gonna order what I think they want, and they're going to enjoy it. And that has now been completed. Now I will order my thing.
I have found what I wanted, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Excellent. I think that'll do. They have an appetizer that is a sashimi sampler, and it's 6 pieces. and it's cheaper
Oh.
than the other one. So I think I'll just do that.
Okay.
And then maybe also the sushi appetizer, which is similar, but just nigiri.
Mm-hmm.
I love that dumb seaweed salad that is just full of like
Yes.
really dyed green things. I love that. I'll
Uh,
probably.
For whatever reason, that always sounds good to me.
Yeah. I need to figure out, well, I guess I probably won't be able to really make it because I have limited access to seaweed, but I want to know how they like season it and like dress it. That
Yeah.
would be interesting. So I will do that. Okay. I'm pressing the button.
Now I am pressing a button and
I am
completing.
Completing the order.
Ew, sweet fries. I guess I'm not completely against it, but I'm not for it.
Sweet fry, like sweet potato fries?
No, because they have sweet potato fries. I think this is fries that are like cinnamon and sugared, which is not, it's not bad, but it's not something I want to eat with a burger. I guess that's more my opinion on it.
I agree with that conclusion. There are some things like that that are like they are good. Like, have you ever had the Cinnabon things from Taco Bell?
Oh, the
Little thing,
the
little
fried,
balls.
they're, oh, the balls with the goo in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have had those too. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're good, but they don't ever sound good to me at least. Like they never well, okay, actually, if we're talking about Taco Bell in particular, also they're I think they call them Cinna sticks, like the
Yeah.
weird deep fry. I hate those. Those are
Those
real
are,
bad.
so close friend of mine worked at Taco Bell during college.
Um,
Um, and she learned how to make a lot of the stuff that they make, which is cool. But the best part is that those stupid like spinny things are literally just rigatoni noodles, not cooked, thrown into a fryer. That's it.
are you kidding me?
So you just throw the noodles in a fryer, pull them out, and roll them in shit, and they're done. That's all it is. So they're French fries, but instead of using potato, they're using pasta, and it works fine. Like it does what it's supposed to do, but it's the most like, of course that's what it is. Like, why wouldn't it be?
Oh. So, okay, yeah, that kind of ruins them even further for me, even though I didn't like them in the first place. But it also makes me think there are so many possibilities about in terms of frying pasta that I never even considered. Think of all the cool pasta shapes that you can fry.
It's true. Uh, the um, the secret to things like the crunch wrap also are just that it's like a thing that they make and then they cook another thing around it real quick. But like we made crunch wraps at our apartment because we shared a place for a while, and like they were a little bit of effort, kind of, but compared to cooking actual food, it wasn't.
hmm I've attempted to make my own crunch wraps a couple of times, and I can never quite get the fold right. I think that is an art in itself.
Honestly, it's just seeing it. Like once you get it down, you just can do it. But it's not really worth it. Like in the end, as cool as it was to make an accurate crunch wrap at home, it was just never like, this doesn't serve anybody. Like,
Mm. It's just that's something I would be excited about as a personal development,
right.
and then really nothing beyond that.
Yeah, you
All
would get a
right.
crunch wrap out of it, and then you'd be like, eh. Cool.
Woo! I mean, I would be pretty excited about that. I like crunch wraps. I think between the crunch wrap and the chalupa, I think those are my favorite items. Although I do have a small rant to go on. I feel like so many fast food places are changing their menus right now and
Yep.
removing all of the good stuff from their value menus.
Yep.
Everything's getting worse.
There is no more taco pizza. Uh,
Yeah.
they've just or Mexican pizza rather from Taco Bell. They've I know at least 3 people that's the only thing they ever got at a Taco Bell, and that's literally the only reason they would ever go to a Taco Bell.
Mhm.
And I know the reasoning behind it was food waste. Like I guess they in a year produced like 1.7 tons or 1.7 million tons of food waste from just the boxes that those came in.
Oh,
Um, so, like, I get it, but wouldn't the easier path be to accept that your food is garbage, take a little bag like you do with the other stuff, and just slide the fucking pizza in it? You don't need a box. There's no point in making a box. Like,
yeah.
it's weird to me. If things are going to change in that fashion, people are fine with this for the most part. Like, I've seen very little complaints about all these places removing their items, but what I have seen is as soon as somebody says, let's cut down on our beef consumption, people go fucking apeshit. But it's fine if the same food places that are associated with what cutting down on that stuff would look like just cut down on it. Like, I don't. It's all just like publicity. It's stupid.
Hmm. Well, they've also removed a lot of their, I think, vegetarian value menu item, like the spicy potato tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who's actually vegan, and Taco Bell was like the one place he could confidently go to and consistently get stuff. And I think he actually now, I don't think there's anything he can get there other than, I mean, like beans, maybe. I don't know.
And maybe the dessert, the twizzle bits.
Yeah, the pasta bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was really upset about that, and that it's pretty sad. But
Well, um, I don't know. I'm not pro fast food. I think fast food mostly sucks, but I think that the only way we're ever gonna grow past fast food is if we grow past our working conditions, because that's the only reason it's important, really. Like,
mhm.
if we were allowed to live like human beings, we would have time to treat ourselves like human beings. And instead, we're told to fucking go pay part of our wages to the food trough and get it shoveled into our car, which is not good. And I'm not pro any of that, but maybe things like being able to order food are slowly displacing some of that, like being stuck at home and people realizing that like the cost is kind of the same if they just get what they want from places that aren't normally drive-ins. uh,
Yeah.
that could also have an effect. Also, fast food companies are fucking atrocious when it comes to everything. Like, uh, Dick's is one of the few that isn't, and the main business of Dick's is as a walk up. Like, it's not even a car place, really. It's a place that acts like a restaurant that you eat outside of.
Yeah.
Uh, and like, I get that. And I get fast food being on highways, but I think the way Seattle was kind of limiting fast food and only allowing things like Dick's and a few other choice fast food places to exist in it is probably the right way for most places. Like, we should have options, but we should have options that are being responsible. Same with like Starbucks, though. Like, it's really obnoxious that Starbucks has become like one of Seattle's down home companies or whatever, and it's a giant corporation that does do some good things, but like the things they do that are good are things that every company should be doing, and
Yeah.
they have the backing of unlimited money behind it, so they should be doing more anyway.
Yeah. That's true.
It is kind of spooky when you think about it.
That actually was my spooky presence's theory, was that the reason why a lot of these places were cutting back on their like value menu items is possibly because the like DoorDash and Uber Eats and delivery stuff has possibly made a dent in their business, because I'm pretty sure it's not like super cost effective for a lot of these places to do that. So, which really sucks for actual restaurants not owned by like a huge corporation. But
Uh, I'm going to turn my outside light on so that they can see this apartment, maybe.
good
But
call.
while I do that, I sent you a gig economy company the other day via message, and I would like you to tell people what it is. I believe I sent it to you.
Gig economy. I will look and read whatever you sent me. Oh, here it is. This is the Business Insider. A new startup is recruiting gig workers to help landlords evict people from their homes, calling it the fastest growing money making gig because of COVID-19. This sucks.
Uh-huh.
Big time.
What's it called again?
Do they really name it civil?
Yep. Did you see how it's spelled?
Civil?
Yeah.
Why is like the default startup company is just like, let's have as few vowels as possible? It's either the strategy is either we'll remove some strategic vowels or we'll add some weird consonant, and they've done both. So
Yep.
props to these guys for having really no originality and also having such a horrible.
You know what I would like to do is
position.
make it so that landlords don't have to feel guilty when they evict you, because they can just pay us to do it for them. Which also means that like landlords are going to have to pay these people extra money to do it.
Yeah.
Which really shows where their concern is. It's, man, I don't like being uncomfortable, but also fuck these people, right?
Mm,
Do you have a problem with that?
I I'm reading this, and just how they describe it as the Uber of evicting people is
Uh-huh.
so cynical and horrible that I hate it so much. I really hate that I hate that Uber is like part of the lexicon for just describing something that like happens instantaneously for you. I hate that. And that everything is described as the Uber of blah blah blah, but this is particularly really horrible.
I'm just not a huge fan of
Ugh.
anything that's in the gig economy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the gig economy. But one thing that we could do to see what our options are, presumably, is if I go ahead and just check out processing. This is an old phone. What U.S. city I would want to live in?
Oh yes, this was a quiz that I had mentioned last week. They have some really interesting questions. So
Okay. So will we also get your result from this at the end?
actually, I'll have to redo it because I forgot what it is. So I will do it
Okay.
uh, at the same time. Oh, wait.
All right. I'm going to read the short little intro. And this is from Proprofs, whatever. So this is a quiz called What U.S. City Should You Live In? It says, what U.S. city should you live in? Are you planning to move to the USA? Or have you always wanted to? Have you been living in the same country or city for years? If yes, then it's prime time for some change. This quiz will help you find out which U.S. city is best suited for your personality and temperament, also supports all your requirements, and is the best place for you to relocate right away. So I'm hitting start on my old phone. Question 1. What kind of weather do you prefer? And the options are long, snowy winters with pleasantly warm summers and a short change of seasons, hot in summer and moderate in the winter, a good change of seasons, hot, humid summers and pretty cold winters with a moderate amount of snow, and no change of seasons, always pretty sunny and warm. Okay, for me, I'm gonna say long snowy winters and pleasantly warm summers with a short change of seasons. Um, yeah, that's probably the closest for me. Um, let's see. Question number 2. Are you doing this along with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What sounds most appealing to you? Going to a sports game, going to a bar, then going to see a movie, going to the beach, going clubbing and relaxing in the pool, going to a siblings sports game, going to a bar and chilling on the stoop with friends and family, a sibling sports game, going to a museum, eating some ethnic cuisine, going clubbing, and then retreating to a fancy dinner party. Um, that one is weird because I don't care about sports. I do like the beach, but if there's only one option that says a museum and it includes ethnic cuisine, then that's probably the one I'm interested in.
That's what I have also selected. I'm not
Okay.
much interested in my siblings' sports games.
This one's easy. How do you prefer to commute to work? Walking, subway or bus, always drive, drive with public transportation. I'm going to say walking with a close second of subway or bus. But walking is always my preference. How clean of a person would you rate yourself? Very clean, moderately clean, somewhat sloppy, or I'm so messy and sloppy it's sick. Hey, one of the options is I'm so messy and sloppy it's sick. uh, I guess moderately clean. I would say very clean, but like I like to be clean with everything, but I also like to have some clutter because that's how I work. So I guess that's moderately clean.
I think so.
Okay, now we're past the halfway mark. What kind of place would you most prefer? I thought that was the point of the whole thing. High rise, very crowded. Small but cozy duplex, somewhat crowded. Ranch style home, moderately spaced, or villa type home, very spaced. So, how much money do you want to spend, basically?
So
I guess I'll say small but cozy duplex because I don't care that much, but I'm definitely not going to be affording a ranch style home.
yeah, I don't actually know what the difference between a ranch style home and a villa type home would be.
Ranch, I believe, is single family with space, but it's nothing else specific. Maybe that's how I lived in a ranch technically, but we lived in a like 2-bedroom house on a bunch of land that we like didn't really have to pay for whatever reason. It was like protected land. But generally, I think some land and a small house up to a villa is ranch. I don't know exactly, though. How important is the culture in your life? Example, visiting museums, art galleries, eating ethnic food, etc. Very important for me. I don't really need to look at the others, but the last one is I have nothing to do with culture. So it has a list of options for you if you need it. How important are sports in your life? Asks this dweeb with a basketball.
I thought it was Zac Efron from High School Musical when I first saw it.
It looks a little like that. I play one particular sport every day. I also watch various kinds of sports. I play some sport once in a while. It is good for health. I neither watch sports nor do I like to play. I only watch others playing on TV. So sports is an all or nothing thing on here, kind of.
I guess.
I do like play sport once in a while. I agree it's good for health, but I wouldn't include that in my answer. Okay. How cliquey do you think you are? Do you like to meet a lot of new people and become quick friends, or do you like to stay with one group of people forever that you've known since you were a kid? Okay,
I would like to note that clicky is spelled here CLICKY.
Yeah, definitely not actually a click.
Yeah.
I'm going to say pretty open because I do have some stable friends, and I don't know what completely open means. So I'll just go with the safer answer. What are your priorities right now? Exploring the world, seeing new things, making good money. That would be cool. Living in an interesting place, making money, creating a social network, and establishing goals. Sort of judgy at the end. Living a comfortable lifestyle, raising a family, and make good friends. Sure. Living a comfortable lifestyle, keeping close with family and friends, remembering where you came from, and always staying close to home. I want to move somewhere where I can remember where I came from. I guess interesting place, making money, social networking, and establishing goals, even though establishing goals is sort of a weird. You could say that us doing this podcast is establishing goals, but that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Question 10 of 11. How ethnically tolerant are you? I'm going to just say I love diversity, and I'm not going to finish that question. Fuck off. The last answer is I really just prefer to be by people that talk, walk, and act like myself. Ugh.
There was one other quiz that I was trying to find that I couldn't find it again, but it actually stated it literally stated I want to be with people who look like me and believe the same things as me. That was like the equivalent option there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. If you could choose any era to live in out of the following, which would it be? The 80s, the 90s, the present, or a future time? I mean, asking if you want to live in the present right now is a real reach. But the future seems very uncertain. I don't know that I want to live in the future time. I mean, technically I do, yes, but like I'm going to say the present because this question is garbage.
Yeah, I don't think that would really help you figure out where you would want to be.
No,
necessarily
like,
in the future time.
I could show up in the future time and see if like there's a bunch of Nazi flags or not. Or if it's the US, like a big cross on a red, white, and blue background or something.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got Manhattan, so apparently I'm rich already. You belong in Manhattan, New York. You are a highly cosmopolitan person and like to indulge in the more beautiful things in life. That's pretty subjective. You enjoy museums, cafes, nightlife, theater, people, food, and just about everything that makes Manhattan the place it is today. You prefer busy surroundings and like to be at the center of, and we've reloaded into an ad. That was essentially the end of that anyway, but I mean, yeah, sure, I would live in Manhattan. There's no way I could afford to live in Manhattan though, so that's not helpful.
Yeah, I like how the asking you like money things is
Yeah.
never a question on here at all. I also got Manhattan, and now I'm being prompted to take a depression test.
Yeah. Um,
They've been listening.
the person picking up
Nice.
my order changed to someone else. That's odd.
They've
Um,
also been.
so I guess you and your spooky presence and I and somebody else could all, I don't know, get a 1 bedroom in Manhattan, because apparently that would work out.
Just bunk beds.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have some bunk beds and a lot of like those big thick wooden shades to put between stuff.
uh, yeah. I mean, I would love for that to be real. That would be nice. That'd be cool.
I know people who move around and could probably uh, fit other people in Brooklyn, but specifically Manhattan's funny just because it's like, okay, well, sure, yes. Uh, Also, I think I'd just be pissed off constantly in specifically Manhattan. I love museums, but like, I also like walking. If they had accounted for that, they probably would have said, "Oh, you should live in the poor areas," because the rest of my answers were not the answers of an especially rich person. So,
Yeah. Mm. That's what I don't like about these quizzes is that they take that you enjoy food, ethnic cuisine, and
yeah,
in like art or museums, and they are like, well, you can live in one of three places.
sounds like
It's like,
you're in New York.
like, cool, thanks. Or San Francisco, that's the other one I get a lot.
Yeah,
So, I mean, sure, that would be great.
I haven't done a lot of places to live style quizzes in the past. Ugh. But I'm pretty sure the only places I've ever seen pop up are just the like 5 large cities you would imagine.
Yeah,
Um, though I did
that's
do a where is your speech patterns quiz uh, a couple years ago, and it relatively accurately gave me the different regions that my family are from, which was impressive. Um,
oh yeah, I've done that one too. That
yeah,
one's pretty accurate. Yeah. Mm. That one was really cool because it got that my it got like kind of Idaho area, but also Kansas too,
yeah.
because my mom's family is from Kansas. So that's a fun thing to be in my uh, vocabulary, I guess. It's so funny. Oh, my Dasher Michael is approaching. He approaches.
Your fish awaits. Hopefully, it will
Enjoy your
be
meal.
normal fish.
I'm hoping. I got a sashimi appetizer and a sushi appetizer
Yeah.
to split evenly somehow. So
Yeah, usually they put an odd number of stuff in those just to make it hard to split. So that'll be nice.
it should be relatively easy to split it up amongst tastes because all I know ever is that I just want salmon. That's my
Yep.
that's what I want.
That is definitely very high on my list every
Mhm.
time. Uh, I have absolutely gotten tempura salmon and salmon sashimi together, because that is absolutely the way I want to live. If I had money for Manhattan, I would be eating a lot more salmon, and it would probably be more of a struggle not to get mercury poisoning at that point.
Yeah. That's what one genre of not just TikTok, but it's more popular on TikTok, I find right now. People are kind of making little clips of their Japanese breakfasts that they make. And
Oh, yeah.
Japanese breakfast is so good. It looks so good. I want
Yeah.
all of it all the time. It just so good.
I had like a complicated relationship with somebody for a while, and one of the things that I received out of it was a number of Japanese style breakfasts, and they good.
Mm-hmm. I want to get one of the pans for making what's it called, tamagoyaki, with
Mhm.
the egg roll thing. I have tried to make it so many times in mine, and it's I think it really has to be that rectangle shape to really get it right.
I've successfully made things that are good that were trying to be that, but they definitely don't look great.
No, I've had a hard time getting them to look good. But I also love the idea of having fish for breakfast because
Mhm.
I just wake up and I am ready for fish. I don't understand the
Eating
common.
sugar for
Yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
hate it.
I've never like woken up and been, well, I'm ready for a gigantic plate of waffles or pastry or anything. I'm like, I want like a teriyaki fish or I don't know, pickles.
I used to make when I had a handle on very cheap ways to get lots of smoked fish. Uh, Aside from that being my like part of my lunch for years, I also had a long stretch of time where every morning I would make 2 eggs over medium, and I would put smoked salmon in it,
Mm.
and make like essentially a little salmon omelet, and that is perfect. Like that's a good breakfast.
Yeah.
I've only ever wanted breakfast pastry style stuff at night. Like that is the only time I want that stuff. I've gone with people to diners like when I'm staying with people or something and gotten that kind of stuff as breakfast, but it's never if I have a choice like when I would do it. Lunch is the earliest I would want that kind of stuff.
I agree.
The
Okay.
closest is the oats that I make. Are you
Mm.
receiving?
I think it has been received, so I'm gonna go get it. It's the sushi whistle.
Here comes the sushi whistle. And that is the Getting Sushi theme, and soon to be the end of the episode, because as we set precedent with last week, once we get that food, it's a mess over here. So we're not going to make you watch that. Speaking of it's a mess, this ocarina sounds rough. Let's see if we can summon the devil.
We had a mishap with the food being dropped off at the wrong apartment.
I had a mishap with not being able to summon the devil.
That is a mishap.
Next time I'll try a harmonica.
I'm surprised the slide whistle doesn't do it.
What do you mean? This doesn't look like it would summon the devil.
Not at all. Nom, 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 nom.
That's that fucking salad.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. I feel bad because I looked outside of the door and noticed that it was across the building. And I think I made an exasperated noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was playing My Heart Will Go On. What's going on?
Oh,
I heard
that's-
I heard the story. I just wanted to get the emotions
the
across.
feeling of it. Yeah. I think you did. I think you did pretty well. Well, here we go. Okay. So we have
I have a request, and it's I want to see it.
this box just in the placement looks really funny to me.
Ooh.
Nice.
The colors are very pleasant.
They are very pleasant. I do like that. So there's the nigiri,
Yeah.
and here is the sashimi. I don't know why they didn't put both of them in a small box, because I feel like they really could have done that, but oh well.
They would prefer if they sent more styrofoam.
Yeah, I think that was the goal. All right. Well, now I have to figure out who gets what.
That's a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. I know that I'm going to get the Slammon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
I'm summoning the spooky presence.
I hope you have better luck than I did.
I might not.
Mine was only summoned when I wasn't expecting it.
A surprise summoning.
I'm a little worried that mine won't be here in time for our time frame. We might have to quit before I actually get food.
I don't really care which ones.
What? How much does it? How long does it say?
Our conversation started 2 hours and 57 minutes ago, which means we probably have about 7 more minutes until we hit the break point. So we probably can't wait until the 20 minutes that this is going to take to show up. They just extended it with the new driver, it looks like.
Oh man.
Well,
How will the people ever know what your food decisions look like?
tell you what, I'll make up for it by showing them what my food decision will look like. Let's just get one of these.
Yeah.
You can have all of the tuna.
Give me all the tuna.
Ah, you took all of the
What's
red. Yeah,
I know what the red are.
it's good. This is the worst splitting of a salad I have ever
No,
witnessed.
there's a lot
What are
more
you?
in here than it looks like.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
What have you done? Okay, that looks slightly better. Fine.
Hook me up.
I still don't.
Are you
Okay.
suspecting that it's not being done appropriately?
No rice.
I am suspecting that. Well, that is sashimi, so that's the definition.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now give me 3 of those.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
You took that one. I want that one.
You have one on a show.
Yeah, but I want more of them.
Can I have the 2 white ones in there?
No, I want at least one white one. We both get one.
Okay, that leaves me with the fucking shrimp, though, bro. I don't want the shrimp. I hate shrimp.
Well, you can have the salmon.
Okay.
Because I got the other salmon. Oh, man.
Thanks, boo. Love you.
Okay. I'm learning. You're welcome. I think the problem here is that I just don't want to share at all.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me.
That seems to be the issue. Wait,
I'll-
you didn't take any wasabi.
I'll tell you the main issue that I have when it comes to spooky presences being more intimate and spooky as opposed to just generally spooky. It often comes down to the fact that I often just want more things to be dictated by me within the general spooky presence that I create.
Mm-hmm. That is my feeling.
I think that's a lot of people's feeling. But it's not good white ethno-Christian society's feeling. This is a bad picture, but this is essentially what I'm getting is a big, wet burger.
I'm all up for that.
Mm-hmm.
That looks good. Very appetizing. So this is my final assortment. I have selected 2 of the salmon sashimi.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what that one is, but I like this one a lot. I think that's the hamachi. I don't know. It's like a really kind of flaky, buttery one.
Okay, that sounds yellowfin-ish to me.
That I think it might be that. And I think this one might also actually be yellowfin.
Huh.
And then I have a shrimp. Because Evan does not like the shrimp, apparently.
Does he just not like shrimp?
No, he does I think he does like them in certain prepared certain ways, but not in sushi.
I went to a sushi place in a thing that I think ended up being a date, but I didn't know it was going to be. And that's happened like a lot more to me than I would like to admit. And one of the things that I did was I got a type of, I want to say it was like a type of Korean sushi that I was not familiar with. And they serve the shrimp like still, they like partially cooked it, but they like cooked the outer part of the shrimp and left it so that it was still fairly like sushi in the center, and they removed like the tail parts, but the head and the eyes and the legs are on it. And the way it was served implied to me at least that I was to eat the whole thing. So I did. And it was fine, but then like a week later I saw other people eating it and they were not eating it that way. I was like, that makes sense. But I do generally like shrimp, so it didn't change my mind. Anyway, I think we're out of time. I've played a lot of bad music at people, so if you would like to take us out, I would like to throw a bejabbers in there, but I've tortured people enough at this point.
Okay. Here's my outro song. That's the second part of it. And that's the third part of it. And I would like you to be gone. Thoughts?
Spooky.